People gathering in a virtual space as we settle in this experience of now and here. Allowing the all of it to be experienced. The all of this moment, the all of this now, here. This first period is just a giving to collecting, a giving to accepting, a giving to welcoming. The whole of experience. The all of this moment. The knowing of the whole, the totality. The knowing of this knowing of this knowing of this knowing. And the gift of this attention. In particular experience. And breath. The whole of the breath into the belly. The whole of the breath for this moment. The gift of this attention. being, living with this. And the experience of all of this, gathering and welcoming, the experience of all of this, regret or hope, fear, whatever is what it is, and a willingness to give care and attention to as it is in this moment, here, this experience of the body, this experience of the knowing, experience of the emotions and the habits and the patterns, the welcoming of all. And the stillness of this moment, stillness of the body, the silence, the listening. The listening is a sort of receiving, and the receiving is that given attention. Life is received, and the gift is back. It's like this. Nothing to justify, nothing to excuse, nothing to get, nothing to get rid of, nowhere to go, nothing to become. The non-doing, in this moment, settling and stilling. Kindness to this moment, a clear response in this moment. Knowing this moment and allowing this experience and stillness in the settling. Just this breath, this moment, this experience. It's like this. Just allowing this interest in this moment, this sense of giving in this moment, and noticing the judgments, the likes, the dislikes, the all of it. As we settle and welcome and gather, gathering and giving, collecting, experiencing, experimenting, this knowing. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. The sense of me, the sense of I, the sense of creation, conceiving, creating, separation, and the way that we relate to that. Just noticing that when how to respond to the trials and tribulations of life, the ups and downs, and when we're sitting quietly gathered in a place where we feel safe, where we feel connected, where we feel that we're safe enough to be open, to be connected. We don't feel that we're going to be put upon. We don't feel we have to protect ourselves. How that feels. And that's a helpful experience. It's a way of opening up a way of being with the total of what this moment brings, all the whole of it. And then there's a way of being able to investigate the whole of it. Then when we don't feel safe, we feel separate, and we take things as maybe dangerous or impinging in some way, or just somehow get flustered in some way, then the noticing how that works, and what comes up with that as a sort of a way of the heat of that frustration, and if we act on that heat of that frustration with either anger or with a sense of inadequacy or desire, then the effect that has. I noticed that traveling and or under time pressure, sense of being me and time and having to get somewhere and do something, and then if something gets in the way, the sense of frustration about that, the sense of separation, and how that can happen just like a flash, and then the flash of anger, how that burns. It burns all around, and it's not wrong, but that's just the way that anger works, the way that the sense of I can't cope works, coming from a sense of separation. And I don't know how you are with the way that your life works out. Things are frustrating or impinging. And then the sense of not liking that, and not accepting that even. And then that's like, it's not as an excuse or something like that, not an acceptance, but a sense of that's how it is. And that you're going to have to deal with how the consequences are. Of course, if you don't get caught in that, that's great. And then how to not get caught in it is the basic practice of sila, the practice of attention and kind attention in the moment, practice of acceptance of the frustrations and the willingness to bear with it without spreading the fire. And certainly the theory is one thing, and the explanation of it is another, and then the practice of it is something that is humbling or revealing. Because when I do get caught in anger, or I do get caught in frustration, then knowing how that affects me and affects others, or the sense of I didn't do that right, or I could have done better, and that unwise attention, actually, because all that speculation about me and I and taking it all personally winds it up more. But the recognition of something, and the opening to that, and the humbling oneself in that is okay. One can have metta for the anger that one feels. One can have metta for whatever experience one feels. One can accept that without trying to change it. In the practice of metta meditation, when we do these exercises of spreading metta, we feel that we have to get some sort of feeling going. I have to spread metta and loving kindness to all beings. And if that doesn't work, then how does that feel? And I think I've spoken before about being in a place where I was encouraged to practice as a group metta meditation for days at a time, and feeling just frustrated the whole time and feeling inadequate because I couldn't get a feeling of kindness towards all beings. And then recognizing somewhere along the way that the practice of metta like that was just a way of seeing what was there rather than trying to get something or gain something. So they say that the practice of metta, if it's developed without insight, it produces a state of radiance, and people like to be around beings that have a lot of metta. And that's the sense one can open up in the sense of being accepted, total acceptance, not dwelling in aversion. And so we do this exercise of spreading metta to ourselves, spreading metta to others, the ones that we respect, the ones that we don't know for sure, and the ones that we dislike. And so ourselves, somebody that we respect, somebody that we don't know, and somebody that we dislike, and just as examples. And then, if that's developed and a sense of acceptance is developed and all that, okay, then there's a sense of radiance. But the liberation, if there's no insight into that, then there's just that rebirth into a sense of radiance. If there's insight, then there can be liberation. And the insight comes from the total acceptance of it all. And the recognition that as it happens, that it's like this. You don't have to develop a particular feeling for things. The story is about it was from somebody who was developing this practice for many months, and then they went to see the teacher, and the teacher asked them, you've been kidnapped with somebody that you don't know, your best friend, and with your enemy. And the kidnappers say, you have to choose which one should die, and then the rest can go free. And this person had been practicing metta for a few months. They couldn't reply. They said, I can't choose. And the teacher just sent them away. And later, that person, I think it was Sharon Salzberg, she recognized and realized she'd actually given the correct answer. Because if you choose yourself, then it means that the metta that you have for this being is not full. If you choose your worst enemy, then obviously your metta is not full. If you can't, somebody you don't know is not full. Your friend, you can't. So if there really is no distinction, and so when there's a sense of frustration or anger or whatever happens in your heart, in the sense, I don't want this, I don't want to be known for somebody who gets, I don't want to, then to accept that also. This is what I have to do, because I do find myself, I shouldn't have taken that extra sweet. I'm going to get fat. My teeth are going to go wrong, or I shouldn't have got angry, or I shouldn't have got upset when that person said something to me. And then a sense of, well, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, it should be otherwise. That's a lack of metta. And it's not that there's wrong that you should say that you shouldn't, but because that acceptance of the knowing that something was wrong is okay. That's a closeness to and a purpose for that. But the sense of this is how it is. This is how it is. And this knowing of how it is, and all the stories that one tells about oneself and the stories that one tells about others, they're like this. They're like this. They're like this. And it's not supposed to be otherwise, because that's how the stories are. And this time and this space and this limitation is the best that we can do. But dwelling and giving unwise attention to it, something that you could look up if you want to worship the good great God Google or whatever it is that you worship, DuckDuckGo or Brave or something, or whatever it is, or we've got unwise attention. and then the results of unwise attention. And that's it's worth it, because that all that tangle of views about this and that, I like that. And to tie oneself in more knots over the sense of self and have ideas about how one should be, or how one could be, or how one was in the past, or how one will become, or what one should be untying about oneself. All of that just ties it up more. The wise attention is to see it's like this. The body is like this. The sense of wanting to make it otherwise means that one's actually coming from a place of ignorance or inadequacy, or the sense of not liking things, the sense that one wants to I want to make myself happy. I want to make myself in some way different. Means that one doesn't like oneself as one is. And that dwelling in aversion, if one repeats that habit, will not help. So give attention, the sense of, I have enough, I can do this, it's okay, I can work with this as it is, I can train this as it is. This is what I'm working with now. This body is like this. No, there's the hair of the head, the hair of the body, the nails, teeth, and the skin. This is what I see. This is what I see when I look at other bodies. This body, when it comes into contact with things, that's what happens. Now, how can I make that contact something that is a blessing and not a curse? Because the body itself is just going to, just make things dirty in one way or another, because the body just oozes and does stuff. And it gets old and it gets sick, and its nature is to do this. It smells a bit, it sags a bit, it needs exercise, it needs all of this. To look after it like a pet, so that we don't spoil it, but we take care of it. And then that's the body, and then the mind, the emotions, the habits of the thoughts, how do they work? And then noticing what sort of attention, how do we use this thought and this idea so that it does help. And when it doesn't, we notice how much we damage ourselves. Like I've said that, a knife is a knife. It's really helpful in the kitchen for chopping the vegetables. But when it slips and it cuts our finger, then it bleeds and it makes a mess over things. So a sense of care over it is important. But to say, well, it should never slip, there should never be any accidents, that's going to make life more difficult. Or the body, what we can do is say, well, we don't want to use it to stab people or to stab ourselves, deliberately cause pain. So if there are mistakes, it's a mistake. But not to deliberately use it in a way that use weapons of the speech or even the thoughts that we think about ourselves or the thoughts we think about others, not to use them as weapons to actually hurt ourselves or hurt others, not deliberately. They come up, that's the way that it is. It's like you stub your toe. It's not that it's wrong that there should be an accident, because accidents do happen. Care is possible also. And then we can learn from it. What can we learn from it? These are the sort of reflections that I have or give to the mistakes and the errors and the problems of life, and the relationships that I have with myself and with others, the relationship with the sense of self. Because this sense of self, how serious is it? Notice how one can smile at it. Notice how one doesn't have to take it too seriously. Notice a sense of, oh, you poor thing, it's all right. It's not the end of the world. we can deal with this. The sense of ease with that, the kindness that one would ideally show a child, and recognize that there is a maturity, or there is a way of maturing this, and it's okay. It's okay. There is space for this to change. There is space for this whole thing to work out. In the long run, it's just this much. But in the short run, there's only this: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, experience. And that's all there is. It's received through the mind, the sixth sense, and the thoughts that come from that, and the emotions that come from that. But it's just all part of nature. And in that, there's a sense of, from the mud, there can be a growing, and the lotus can bloom. So to that sense of allowing whatever troubles and trials and tribulations that one may feel in one's life or experience in one's life, or all the problems that one has, or makes or picks up, or gets, one feels is thrown at one, then allowing those to be as they are and not making more of that. You know, to turn the muck of life into manure, to use a way of relating to whatever one has experienced, to allow it to end, or to find a way of resolving itself through just being with it. I think that we can make a lot of the possibilities of life, and our opinions about ourselves and our opinions about others, and those are never more than just that. But to say we shouldn't have opinions is just another opinion. So, not complicating the business of life by making more of it is one way of untangling it, or allowing it to end. Because these things, there is a place where there is not. They don't settle. They don't. They don't. They don't land anywhere. And so that ease, to give oneself to that ease, or give attention to that ease, to practice that ease, is what the formal practice is about, so that one has an appreciation of it. So in your breath, meditation, breathing in, the breath is like this. Letting go of the breath is like this. You can see how that suggestion to the heart allows the heart to smile and ease. That practice of the Eightfold Path, that knowing of how the heart is in this moment, and the knowing of one's opinions about how it has been or will be or could be, just that too, the knowing of all of it, not rejecting any of it, not rejecting the personality or saying the personality should change, but is allowing the whole of the personality to reveal itself, to have the confidence that the whole of it is like this. It's part of nature, and we can give it back to nature, the whole of it. Not to pretend or to become, not to get rid of, not to go anywhere. That is the whole of it. Then how things will work out will be how they work out, and all the mistakes will be how the mistakes work out, and all the good things will be how the good things turn out, and the good and the bad, the skillful and the unskillful, the ideas about what one should do and shouldn't do. They'll all find an ending. They'll all find an ending. They'll all find a sense of letting go. But we'll see. That's the practice, or that's the way of relating that. And I find that there's a sense of forgiveness, one way of talking about it. A sense of forbearance is another way of talking about it. A sense of willingness to learn is another way of talking about it. A sense of bowing to the current experience of the whatever it is. So you're not trying to get rid of regrets or worry about the future, regrets about the past, ideas about this and ideas about that. We're not trying to pretend that those somehow are wrong, but accepting that all of it, so that the whole thing is enlightened. There's a patience in that. It's not trying to find something that one thinks might be there, not trying to pull one's ideas about how one thinks this should have been, or whatever all these causes happened like this. It's not necessary to do more than just know this is how it is. Because this is really the only place that we can know. This is the only time that we can know. And the all of it is like this. And all of the ideas of one's purity or one's inadequacies or one's regrets or one's worries or one's fears, they're all just like this. And different conditions will provoke one thing or the other. And certainly there are some responses that are more skillful than others. But one can learn from the all of it. One can learn from the all of it, having that confidence in the Buddha that there is that transformation possible. And however the experience is, the transformation is possible. Transformation into it just being part of nature, letting go of it, letting go of the personal. It's not wrong the way that it is. It's the way that it is. The sense of it being wrong is not wrong. It's also not wrong. One can get caught up with all of it. It's just like that. And allowing that to smile. A sense of wanting to make things happy is like this. You don't have to get happiness. Sense of I want to be different is a lack of acceptance of how it is. It's like this. It's not that they're not, that the effort that one makes is the effort to not make more of things. And when one does make more of things, not to make more of that. If one does make more of that, then to not make more of that, to not make more of that, to not make more of that, all the way down. Like it's turtles all the way down. Well, the way really out of it is to get rid of the sense of, well, not get rid of, but to, there's nothing to get rid of, but to know the sense of self. To know what knows that sense of self. To know that knowing. Emptying that way, the boat is empty. There's nothing there. It's all back to nature. Well, the body will go the way the body is. The mind will go the way the habits will go. The habits will find their next thing. Now I was, I'm unpacking bags. And I thought, I don't know quite where I packed that, why I packed that. And then thinking, well, and that's really, what we call our karma, or what we call our sense of self, or the sense of things that we unpack, and that karma that we start to notice. And yeah, we can go unpacking this bag forever because it's Pandora's box. There is no end to it. It's an endless, endless box or an endless, endless piece of baggage. Because in the unpacking, we're making more baggage. It's more, no, making, I am somebody who's dealing with my past trauma. There may be past trauma, and certainly pack it up or unpack it or put protection on it or do something with it. But don't make oneself into somebody who has to sort oneself out, because that makes another self on top of a self. Just deal with the thing as it is in this moment. In this moment, it's like this. And it's not that it's wrong to unpack. It's not that it's right to unpack. I don't know quite how things work. It's a bit of a mystery to me, this whole business of humanity, this whole human form. I can recognize there can be blessings, and I can recognize there can be curses. And I can recognize that judgment of one thing and another. But this is how it is. And we do the best we can. And this is, if it helps, then by all means use these. And if it doesn't, this is just the way that it is here. And you don't have to listen to it anymore. You can leave it behind. And that is just how it is. I'll leave some place, some time, some space for questions if you want to type them in. And I'm glad to be here and to now be available for whatever happens now. Thank you. So if you have questions, please type them. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. I've been investigating the sense of identity, what that means, how it lives within. Please may I ask you to offer your thoughts on the ascribed identity, that which others seek to impose upon us. I recognize that I have little control over this, but finding it troublesome nonetheless. Yes, I was waiting for the plane the other day, and there was somebody sitting opposite me. And in the waiting, just waiting at the gate. And then I got on the plane and got into my seat. And then the person who was sitting opposite me came past, and I was sitting in business class, and he gave me such a look as if, what are you doing dressed like that, sitting up there? And I thought, I'll smile, because there were reasons that I was sitting up there to do with the amount of baggage that I was having to take and the time of day and all of that. So I felt I could feel so guilty about this. Why is this person who's dressed as a mendicant and shouldn't have any money sitting up in business class? um, and then that sense of, how should I, what would make, I really couldn't do anything. I was just any more than just, oh, this is how it is. This is, and there is an occasion for not, and then so with the ascribed identity thing, one of the things that, the judgment that comes with dressed like this, the judgment that comes with anybody really, and then noticing how, it's really just, it's a convenience. I mean, humans, to survive, I feel, try to make things easy for themselves by going into the habit of labeling and using that as the way of relating to things. When people want one to be different, then how does it feel? And then noticing how I feel that I don't want somebody to want me to be different. And then how I can complicate that one. And then noticing how I judge other people and want them to be different. And they should be this way, and they should be that way, or they are this way, or they are that way. And yet, really, it's just like this. And to say, well, I shouldn't want people or ascribe identities to people, or I should be able to do this, or I should be able to do that. I feel the best I can do is to just figure out and try and dwell on the best that I can of other people and try and notice the best that I can in myself and with a sense of forgiveness. No, I don't really know. No, within ascribed identities that others seek to impose upon us. I don't know whether people seek to impose an identity upon us, or they do out of a sense of laziness or habit. I mean, I can't really blame my mother and father for imposing the identity of child upon me because it was a convenience. I was their child. Now they're both. I'm an orphan now, so I think at 71 it's time I grew up, and it's and yet, you know, people ascribe to me an identity. Be my teacher. Be my guru. Be my ajahn. Or you are, and you should be. And I feel I just look and see what I can notice about them that I feel that's something that I feel joy for. I feel happiness about. I try to. That's that's the way that I try to deal with people. And that's the best I can do. And I don't always succeed, but I notice that that's the best I can do. Um, and because to try to say to people, you shouldn't ascribe to me an identity. And I recognize that that's what I do to myself and to others. That's just how it is, I'm afraid. I have to bear with it. I hope that helps a little bit, Andrew. And if there are any other questions. I've just come back from about 10 days, 9 or 10 days in England. I went to the Amaravati gathering to celebrate 90 years of Rinpoche Meadows' life. I think it's about 60 years as a monastic. It was quite a gathering. You'll probably see the pictures and the things on the amaravati.org website. And that's, I was told that there were 1,500 lay people and nearly 200 or more monastics. It was about the biggest event that they've ever had there. Quite a party over 3 days. What I found from that was that it was a way of widening the view. Like when you go to a place and you feel that you're looking out over a big view, you're seeing a, a, a lot of the scenery, I mean, you can't actually get close to all of it because it's a lot of scenery. But that sense of a wider view, people have been monastics that length of time, lots of them, and then so many, and then all the support and the sense of safety in that. But let's see. Sometimes I have a lot of voices in my head. Some spiritual teachers say none of them are true, but maybe some can protect you or be intuitive. How does Theravada Buddhism look at all those thoughts? Or how to deal with them? Are they all not true? I think the first of all, one has to have an idea of what truth is. If you're going to say they're not true or they're true, then have an idea of what truth is. It's a question I'm just... And for the way that I tend to work with the idea of truth is I use the word Dhamma for truth. And the truth in this sense is something that's well revealed by wisdom, and it's something that's here and now, and it's something outside of time. It's something that's always beautiful or encouraging. It leads to a sense of peace, and it's something that one can realize for oneself. So the fact that there are different voices in one's head, or different members of the committee, is one of the ways that Ajahn Vajiro puts it. It's just the way that it is. To say they're not true is true. To say that they're true is also true. Because if they're there, they're there. At that moment, that's where they are. But then what one does with them and how one relates to them, are they something that actually leads to a sense of peace? Are they beautiful? Do they lead to a sense of ease? Do they lead to a sense of, oh? Do they lead to silence? You don't have to believe any of them, but you also don't have to dismiss any of them. You can just listen, you can act on those, or you can follow those that lead to a sense of ease, sense of beauty in behavior, of speech, of body, of mind, a sense of something that one feels, this is lovely, this is easeful, this doesn't cause more pain. All of them are either true or not true, or both, or neither. I feel sometimes the Indian way of describing things is actually quite helpful. None of them are true. Maybe some can protect you or be intuitive. I think, you can think of them in terms of they're all true, they're all not true, or both true and not true, or neither true nor not true. Just use it all of it, accept all of it, work with all of it, and know that, knowing. If it leads to a sense of ease, then that's okay. Is that in line with Dhamma or not? Yes, the news and the whole thing about how others should be. How do we hold on to views on political events around us, war, autocratic leaders, democratic leaders, or altruistic leaders, so that we don't add to suffering? I incline towards righteous indignation by responding to what's happening. I'm right, they're wrong. Rather contracting in the mind, and also fear and compulsiveness in following the events blow by blow. Sometimes it's good to fast. Fast on media. I know people who do that quite regularly. They take the they go offline. They go offline. Wanting things to be different is going to make more suffering for oneself. What one can do if one does get involved politically is offer one's vote, offer one's opinions as a gift, without the idea of changing. Or if one does know that one wants to change somebody's mind, then knowing that. And then how one thinks about all the leaders and things. But for the most part, people are stupid. People are ignorant. It's the nature of this life. And for many times, I'm stupid and ignorant. I know that. So I don't feel that a sense of blame is helpful. As far as following things compulsively go, is the capacity to distract ourselves, is very, very high nowadays. And that's how it is. Media fasts are good. Internet fasts are good. The sense of putting things down. The sense that, there is a crisis. We do not know what's going to happen next. We really do not know what's going to happen next. This is, it's been the case for many, many years, and it's always really not sure. There have been all sorts of calamities and troubles and trials, and things do shift and change, and the world is and the time and space is a huge thing. In the way that we think about it, the way that models that we have about it, and they're just models. But what can we do now? I don't want you to feel helpless or hopeless in all of this. But at the same time, I don't feel that it's helpful to me to get too wound up about it. And I suppose that's what you're asking, how to not get too wound up about it. Notice when it's not there. Enjoy the sunshine. Be ready to smile. And recognize for the most part, people are just, this is the way it is. And how things are going to turn out, we don't know. And we do the best we can with what we've got. And I don't really know what's going to happen next. How do you speak to your body in times of sickness? How do you speak to your body when you're ill and your immune system is not what it has been? Do you surrender to it, or do you speak in a certain way of healing to yourself? I feel that sometimes I can move energy around the body. I don't, I feel a sense of kindness towards the body and the best I can. I recognize that it's doing the best it can, because it's got to go through its own aging and decline, because that's the way that things that have come together go. So a sense of kindness towards it, a sense of like almost treating it like a pet sometimes, because it's an animal, this body, and it needs, a sense of looking after it the best I can. and recognizing that, it's going to go this way. With pain, I like to notice what's painful and what's not painful in the body. Sometimes breathe through it in different ways. Sometimes some people put color through it or sound through it. I don't tend to do that too much, but it's sometimes something that I do. And with the immune system, it's like this. It's going to be like this. And it's what it is. But at some point, there's a sense of surrender that I can't. If I'm, and I also notice that when I'm sick or in pain, I'm stupid. I don't want to get rid of that pain. And sometimes I recognize that I don't know what's in pain. And so I'm sick and stupid because I don't know what's hurting. And that's interesting. And then how I respond to that is more, oh, this is what's happening. A sense of, oh, that was where I stubbed my toe. That was what was hurting. That was what I did wrong. Now, before I was traveling last year, I thought, well, I have to do some exercises to get this body ready for all this traveling. And of course, I over-exercised. And then I strained it, and then I had to figure out how to work around it. A sense of not exploiting the body. So doing the best one can with a sense of gratitude that it's got this far. And certainly it's going to have to end sometime. How it's going to end, we don't know. I don't know. And there's too many times I've heard of unexpected deaths. I mean, but every death, every birth will have a death. So to say of death is unexpected is a bit of a funny thing to say, because that's what we can all expect. When it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, that we don't know. But that it will happen, this is for sure. And that's how it is. So that's how I personally relate to it. When I'm ill, and sick, or broken something, I try to be as kind as I can to this thing. When I'm tired, when I'm sick, when I've got pains and aches. And I did notice, the one that I really did notice, and I haven't noticed so many times since, was when I had really, really, really bad back pain. And I had to crawl to the loo to vomit with the pain. There was something in me that was going, this is ridiculous. And there was a huge smile on my face. I don't know quite why. I did vomit, and I did get to the loo. But that was interesting. That was interesting and somehow reassuring. So I don't know. No, I think there are other times when I've just been very upset about the whole business. But I try not to really feel sorry for myself when I'm sick, when my body's sick. That I don't find helps. Sometimes I do, but I don't find it helps. So I hope that helps others. Yeah. I don't tend to speak too much to my body too much. It's more like moving the energy around or doing something with it. Okay, I think that's probably enough. We probably don't have time for an unmute session today.